Just sold this new bat at the end of day yesterday. It's a lovely short handle chase R4 Vortex. It's a really nice bat, just fractionally over 200 quid, made in England. And it's a beautiful, beautiful bat. Lovely willow. Just under 200 quid, made in England. So I'm just going to prep it. So when I prep it, first of all I sand it. Chase knock in their bats on a knocking in machine, but I always suggest, especially going over the edges. So I'm just going to get it sanded. Got these Klingspor 240 grit. Just take the polish off so I can get some oil on. Then I'm going to oil just to get it supple for knocking in the edges. I'm going to oil and leave it for 24 hours. So tomorrow morning I will come in and knock it in. And I'm going to knock it in. So first of all I'm going to knock the edges in with this. So this has been already knocked in on the machine, so I'm just going to finish it off. I'm going to do the edges with this and then down the edges there, and then the top bottom 2 inches. I'm going to follow it up with this one. These are Malignum Vitae, and they're really hard wood and they're just brilliant. And then same again with this, edges down the bottom, and then I will finish the edges off, boning it with this. Just rounding the edges, rounding the edges. Get so many problems with back edges. And a lot of it is because they haven't been re-knocked in. You know, rounded edges. And then finish it off with this absolute beast. All of the middle. So this one won't need as much as most because it's been through a knocking in machine. Chase do all their bats through knocking in machine, but they just suggest a little finishing off at the end. If it hadn't been through a knocking in machine, it'd be a lot more knocking in. When I do the bat, I tend to go, I'll do this a few times there and this time too, and then I follow the middle of the grain, then I do the grain, and then the middle of the grain. So actually bats with more grains are much easier to knock in. And then do it all the way across, down the middle, down the grain, down the middle, down the grain. It just covers the whole bat. And you'll see it indentating on this first one. And then the second one, you'll see it slowly flatten out. And then by the time I get to the third one, it'll be back down like an absolute road. And the noise, people ask me how long do you knock it in for? And it's just down to the ear and noise. You know, some bats take hours, some bats take half an hour. Really is down to where the bat is when you get it. Some people really worry about these marks, but when you knock them in and you hit them on there, it pings off so much more. So this would put the bat down a few grades because of these marks, but actually if you can get one near the middle, absolutely pings off. You can hear when I'm knocking it in, you might not be able to hear because of the echoes in this room, but I can feel when I hit that, it absolutely shoots off. So don't be worried about one of them near the middle. In fact, choose one near the middle. I always do this part here a little bit, lots of people don't. And sometimes when they're pressed in a press, they leave that bit there because they're just trying to get the bow in the middle. So this is softer here and here. But I always find nasty cracks up here on bats that I bought in, and it's because it just hasn't been knocked in. And I get it. Sometimes with the stickers on a new bat, you don't want to rip. So the edge is always at 45 degrees. So when you've done that quite a bit, and then you go flush down there. Sometimes, this is beauty, this won't crack, but sometimes you get small cracks. Don't worry about it. Just, you'll get tiny little cracks. It's just part of the game. Don't worry about it. But that will mainly be because it hasn't been oiled. So actually oiling it before you knock it in just makes it slightly supple. If you do it on a dry bat, you know, makers don't oil bats anymore. So if you do it on a dry bat, it will crack a lot more than if you've oiled it. So bats always concentrate on the edges and the toe more. That's where you're going to get problems if it's not nicely locked in. So I'm going to give a bit more time to this last 2 inches. The edges have come up beautifully. So now, just before going over the bat with the big mallet to finish it off, I'm just going to bone it. So boning it is just rounding the edges, which is just so important. It's pushing the fibres together. It's making sure that the fibres are really together. So when those balls hit the edge, it's a nice firm thing for the ball to ping off. If it's not, then it would take chunks out of the bat sometimes. So this is the bone I use just to round the edges off. And then with this again, lignum vitae. It's called ironwood. It's the most dense wood you can buy, and it just rounds the edges off beautifully. Just finishes them off perfectly. One of the most commonest problems with bats I get in is because they haven't been knocked in properly and they haven't been the edges done properly, and that's when you get all those videos you see of mine where it just flakes away here, just opens up. That's balls just going onto dry wood. That hasn't been compacted, knocked in, boned, and now ready for just the last going over with the big mallet. So I won't do the edges with this. This is a beast of a thing. I'm just going to do the middle and the toe. When I hit that bit there, it absolutely flies off. It's beautiful. If the whole bat was just a knot like that, it would go twice as far as any bat. Love it. Love these bits. My sons are the same. As you get older and maturer, choose a bat like this. I know all the boys want perfectly grained bats, but if you can persuade them of these little knots around here, boy, is that bat gonna fly. So now I finished, I'm gonna put a toe on. Oh, I'm knackered. It took about half an hour to knock this bat in because it's already been put through a knocking machine. So bats can take anything from 2 hours to half an hour, depending, but all should be done. And what happens is you open up the fibres as well as pressing them, you're still moving the fibres around. So you need to re-oil and get oil in there before you put the scuff sheet in. I don't think many mass producers do that anymore. And that's again why it just gets so dry around here. If you can, I know it's difficult to do, if you can, every year take it off, oil it, and the longevity of your bat will be amazing. The other thing with knocking in is some bat makers now, they press them so hard, they're ready to go, but they get worse and worse quickly. Whereas a bat like this isn't 100% knocked in. It's going to get better and better and better and better and better and better. It's ready to go. It's going to get better and better and better and better as you use it, and then slowly it will fall away. So the longevity of a bat like this that hasn't been overpressed is much, much better. I'm going to oil it again. If it was my bat, I wouldn't put a scuff sheet on, and then I maybe actually leave it 24 hours. If it needs another oiling, I'll oil it. If it doesn't, I'll put a scuff sheet on tomorrow and it'll be ready to go back.